Welcome, welcome. So I've been predicting these changes for years now. Once the administration decided the Affordable Care Act was here to stay, we knew they'd start looking at us. They'd start having documents. And this is not a bad thing. I think too many people just, it's the Wild West, right? This is a way to help reduce that. Morning, Bobby. Hi, Mindy. So this isn't so bad. They're actually letting us have a lot of freedom. And I think if we do it correctly, maybe they won't come down so hard on us. This is a pretty easy way to control some of the no call, I don't need to talk to you type of agents that are out there. So we're just at the top of the hour. A couple more people coming in. Like I said, I had over 100 requests, so that was a lot. Morning, Tim. Hi, Renee, Olivia. Nice to see some faces. Thanks for those of you who've been coming continually. I appreciate that. I love seeing this community grow and agents wanting to do this and learn how to do it correctly. I just find that exciting. So I've been a part of this since the beginning of 2013, and I thought this is going to go somewhere, and it is. ACA is here. You're welcome. Jody, happy to invite you. And you can certainly share this, as I have said in the past. You don't have to be part of the FMO I'm with. You don't have to be my downline or upline or anything like that. This is free. This is just to help agents become educated. The better you guys do, the better the whole system is going to be. Morning, Jessica. Nice to see your face. I just firmly believe that if we're all doing this right, we don't have to compete against each other. There is so much business out there. I mean, millions, right? I mean, there's no way any of us are going to get it all. So let's all just play nice, get along. So thanks for joining. I am going to go over the original topic that this was supposed to be about, and then we will talk about the new requirements. So first, though, we're going to talk about the original subject that this was scheduled for. It is, I've seen this topic come up repeatedly over and over in the Facebook chat groups, in person at different conferences, is how to put in the income. What's included, right? One of my agents had a unique one that I actually now have an answer for him. It was a guy who lives with a woman, but he claims her as a dependent. I'm like, how is that even possible? Well, sure enough, it's there. So I'm going to share my screen. Make sure I'm sharing the right screen, because I have a lot of screens to share today. So, all right. So this is directly at healthcare.gov. This is not something I made up. I had to search for this. So I had a client who came into my office who said, she's been divorced or separated for over 15 years. And I get to the point where it says, you know, if you're legally married, you got to put in all their income. And I thought that was kind of funny, because she said, I know what he makes. He lives in Michigan. He doesn't even live by me. I haven't talked to him in over 15 years. And so I'm like, okay, that doesn't seem right. And all right, so I went in. I don't know if you can hear the horns. Somebody's going through town. Anyways, the tax, I mean, how is she supposed to enter somebody who she hasn't even seen or talked to in 15, 20 years? So right here at healthcare.gov, income and household information, household size, which if you ever go to healthcare.gov, this see topics is all the topics. You can even hit browse all the topics, and there's a lot of them. You can do the search and find them. So, but I will stick this in the chat. There is the link to find this, right where it's going to tell you exactly who you do and do not include. So we know about dependents, including adopted and foster children, which, okay, yeah, that's a dependent. Children, shared custody, sometimes include children whose custody you share only during the years you claim them, right? Which we are going to talk about children in a couple of weeks, but that's, you know, if they are not on your tax return, don't include them in the application. Don't put their name on it. Don't say I have a kid, but they live with somebody else. That weird question that says, are you living with anyone else under 19? Just ignore it. It's confusing. It doesn't, it's gonna make you put in other people's information. Just don't. And I will explain how to maybe get them coverage if you have to, but they're not a tax dependent. Non-tax dependent under 26, include them only if you want them in their marketplace plan, but remember they have to be a tax dependent. So 26-year-olds, not tax dependent. A 19-year-old who has a job is probably not a tax dependent either. So make sure they talk to their agent. But I'm going to scroll down here, right down here, legally separated spouse. Do you include it? No, don't include legally separated spouse, even if you're living together. Well, I think that's funny. I don't know how you can be legally separate if you're still in the same house. And I've never actually used that for any of my clients. But if they have moved out, they are in 2 separate addresses. That's legally separated. Do not include the divorced person, the other spouse's information. Now, I've asked them, are you going to file? Because there are some people that, for whatever reasons, their accountants say it's better for you to file this. Maybe they separate in 2023. They are in separate households. And so they come in and they start talking to me and I go, okay, the question is, are you going to file together? And they're going to tell you, no, we're not. We're not sure. Yes, we are. Our accountant, for whatever reason, for this one last year, we're gonna. Okay, if you are going to file together, we need both of them. If they're like, absolutely not, I am not filing with them, you do not include it. You don't even put the other spouse's information on the application at all. That spouse needs to go and get their own application. So right here, spouses living apart. Well, yeah, because you're gonna, unless you are legally separated. Then they also have spouse. If you're a victim of domestic abuse, violent spousal abandonment, you don't have to as well. But again, I hope if somebody is in that situation, you help them, you tell them, hey, there are resources and they're not living in the same place. So it's pretty black and white. If you're legally separated, do not include it. The last thing you need to do, especially if somebody's in a messy divorce, is try and force them to find out the other person's information. Unfortunately, there are some clients who are married and they want to file separately for other reasons. Tax or student loans is usually one that I see. Well, she has a lot of student loans and I don't. So we file separately. So her tax return goes to that. All right, well, then you can't get a tax credit. You have to decide at that point if it's really going to be worth it. But now they know. So any questions on that? I think that one, I don't know why it comes up. This list is seriously the most extensive list of who to put. This is the one that my agent got, an unmarried domestic partner. Can they claim them? Sometimes. What? Include an unmarried domestic partner only if you have a child together, or you'll claim that partner as a tax dependent. So who knew? You could actually claim a domestic partner as a dependent. If a client comes in and tells you, these people are my tax dependent, okay, believe them. Accountants know things. If they have a question, can I claim so-and-so as a dependent? Well, you can, but talk to your accountant. Make sure. This is going to give you the extremely detailed list of who to include and who not.
Hey,
any questions?
Chris?
Yes.
So if you don't include them on the application, do you still say that you're married?
So in the situation where they're legally separated?
Yes.
No, you say they're single.
Ah.
Because if you say they're married, they're going to ask for the spousal information.
Right. That's what was throwing me.
Yep. You say they're single. Don't think too smart. Remember, the system is not smart. This system is the definition of keep it simple, stupid, the KISS thing. It's not a smart system. So it's not going to go look at some court records to see if you have legally been divorced or not. So yeah, list it as single.
What is legally separated? Is there paperwork that I've never been married. I don't know.
I know it according to this, no. I mean, I kind of looked it up. That's why I made my own personal definition was you're in separate households. You have told me we're getting divorced. You have told me you're separated. Okay, you have made a declaration that you are not together anymore. Now, if somebody wants to say that to me because they want to file separately, then that's on them and there could be consequences. I don't know what that consequences are. And again, now this is the federal marketplace. State exchanges might have their own rule. So, if you went to, Sharon's saying an MD where they recognize separations through the court. But I don't know how, they're looking that up. The IRS has got bigger things to do. But they are doing audits. There's a new group of people. But if someone is legally separated, they do not live in the same household, then and I know my state Medicaid system, that's their definition. If there's two separate household addresses, they're considered legally separated. So a woman and her kids can get on the Medicaid system living at a separate house and the husband's over there and they're still legally married, but they don't count his income. So
yeah, I just want to clarify that a little bit.
Yep.
Because the case that I had, they have been living apart for like 20 years. So I thought it was kind of ridiculous. But the marketplace had said that because they're still filing separately, because in the state of Maryland, unless you have a document stating that you're legally separated, even though they hate each other and haven't been together for 20 years, they
Sure.
still consider them to be married. So what they told them is you need to go to the court and get it legally done. So,
and that's a state rule. So
yeah.
I mean, absolutely. If it's something like that, then one of them just needs to go. I mean, go get a piece of paper, a notarized document. We are legally separated. And so learn your state. Your state rules are going to have some precedence on this, but that's look and see what your state has. As far as the marketplace, it's pretty black and white.
Yeah, well, here they said they had to go through the court, which was
Yeah.
going to cost money, and he was like, he didn't want to pay it. So,
Right. So then, whoever is probably getting to get the benefit of the tax credit would probably have to have the burden of paying for it, right? Is it worth it to get off and so you can get this tax credit or not?
mhm.
So that's part one. So now we'll go to part two, the compliance thing that I know everybody is all. I mean, I think that's why 72 of you are on this call. So here, let me show you a couple things that I have gotten. It's not as big of a deal as I think it could be. So this was the website that I went to. It's very similar to all the ones that you got from different carriers that you were seeing. The Compliance Corner Agent Pipeline sent this out. The ACA final rule, the documentation review windows, retirement, going into effect beginning June 18th. So this is literally in 3 days. But it's really, don't overthink it. It's pretty simple. So they have a consent document and a review document requirement. Now, if those of you have been a part of my group before, I've seen my documents. I have intake forms that I send out, which includes their personal information, where they go to the doctors, things like that, and their prescriptions and income. I also sent them a privacy information saying, give me permission to talk about this, to enroll you, to do what you're asking me to do. And then my obligations as the agent was to never share this, protect it if somehow I think there's a breach, so I sent this out to plenty of people. So I took that and I just updated it. Most of what's on this document, and this is what I will be sending out in the email right here, this obligations, I took right from the CMS, the FFM certification. I mean, I literally copied and pasted and stuck it in here. The top part here is talking about what you're going to do. So if you look at what the regulations say you need to clearly state what you're going to do with this information and who's doing it. So the personal information is going to be used for, I say, assist with the plan, quoting enrollment, assist with completing the eligibility application, ongoing account and enrollment maintenance, and conduct a search for consumer application upon approval for the enrollment through the workplace. And then on the back side, I give consent to our agency to use the requested information to help me and or my family quote, enroll, and maintain my application. I can rescind this request at any time. And then I said by written documentation or verbal declaration. You get to tell them how they can rescind it. That's the other thing. It just says to say how they can take back this permission they've given you. And then I put this little thing down here at the bottom. It just says this document is subject to CMS record retention requirements, because we have to keep these documents for 10 years. All right, they are going to get saved. They're on my CRM. I don't get rid of them. So this is my version this is my consent to give them information. This is the consent requirements for me to talk to them, to do all of that. And then at the end of my meeting with them, I give them a document that looks like this. That says, this is the review document. Enrollment information I put the name of the person and or family. Thank you for choosing us to help you, blah, blah, blah. And then I go, here's the application ID, the income, the monthly tax credit, the insurance company, monthly premium, the customer service number, member number, if you know what it is, the date it's due, the policy effective date, requested documents if needed, the due dates, and then I mark whether they paid the first month's premium or set up auto pay. And then I give them important information. Some of this is stuff that I have just been telling them for years, like, please don't hesitate to contact us before the marketplace. I used to say, do not contact the marketplace, but I figured now this is a document the marketplace might ask. I won't say do not contact them, but I'm saying, please, talk to us first. This is what we're here for. I tell them right here, you can adjust your estimated income anytime throughout the year, just contact us. And then right here, this underline says, remember when you file your taxes, the IRS will compare what is on the application versus what is on your tax return. You may have to pay back any overpayment of tax credit if your income is higher than was reported on the application. There is a rule in that review document that says that they understand the end of the application. And I go over the fine print. I do the fine print every time with my clients because I want to make sure they do it. So the official document says the document must contain at the minimum the name of the consumer or their authorized representative, an explanation of the attestations at the end of the eligibility application, and the name of the assistant. Okay, so I'm telling them during the application, hey, just this is, here's the fine print. And then I also re-put it in that form. Now, there's no way they can come back and say, I didn't know about it. Maybe they won't read this, but that's on them. And then questions that I talk about who to go to for deductibles, give us the requested documents, explain why to give it to me versus healthcare.gov, open all regular mail, someone from health, explaining it. And then on the name of the agent who helped you enroll and explain how the tax credits work from your income. So name, NPN number. And then this document, this part right here, I took right from the CMS's information that says, I confirm that the information I provide for entry on the marketplace eligibility enrollment application is true to the best of my knowledge. I understand that I do not have to share additional personal information upon myself or my health with my agent beyond what's requested. I understand that my consent remains in effect until I revoke it, and I may revoke it or modify my consent at any time by written documentation or verbal declaration. So I'm telling them twice how they can do it. They're going to date the name of the primary household contact and or authorized representative and the signature. Now, I made 2 forms, but that's me. Most of my people are in-house, so I'm going to have them sign it right there. I'm going to make a copy, one for them, one for me. But I thought, CMS, with all their weird foibles and weird things, I bet you they created a document. Guess what? They did. And it's probably simpler than mine. So I'm going to share that with you. And I'm going to send this to everybody who, if you got the email invite to this form, you're going to get what I just showed you. I'm going to show you my personal ones. You can make them your own. You can throw them away. Please make sure that you verify. This is my, I'm not an expert. I didn't take this to a lawyer. Verify with your state, especially if you're a state exchange, anything like that. Make sure it's correct. So then I'm going to show you the CMS one. If you use the CMS one, well, you know, you probably can't go wrong. So here's the CMS, and I will send it to you. And I'm going to send you the link of how I found it. So there is crazy in-depth PDF that the CMS has right here, the ACA final rule, you know, here's the rules. And then they actually created a document for you. So page 1 says what it is. And here's page 2. CMS model consent form for marketplace agents and brokers. And you go, primary household contact, give permission to insert name of person or entity to serve as the health insurance agent or broker for myself, my entire family, if the purpose of enrollment to qualified health plan. So right here, this first part is actually the consent. That's the first one that they're saying you must have, basically consent document. And then it says what it's for, why you're doing it. And then I understand the agent will not share my personal identifiable information for any purposes other than listed above. We'll keep it safe. And the thing that I just quoted on mine, I took it right here. It's exactly right here. Then the name of the agent writing number, the NPN, and then the name of the household. So if there's 2 agents, you can do this. The name of the primary household contact, authorized representative. So right there, it's pretty simple. And I didn't create this. You can use just this. This one form is the consent and the review. So pretty simple. There's no timeline on this. It has to be this. The information that they have given us to share is pretty simple. I'll go take you over to this screen again. This is what they're saying. These are the minimum requirements for consent. And here's the minimum requirements for the review. And then you must keep this document for 10 years. Of course, all subject to change. I will send you, I'm going to put this link in the chat. If you want to see the entire, here's more in-depth explanation of the requirements here. I clicked that. Here's the model broker consent form. It actually will show you some of the complaints, not so much complaints, but concerns that were brought up by agents and the reason why they either agreed or disagreed with what the agent was saying. So if you are a researcher and you like to dig into that, there's plenty of it for you. If you're not a researcher and you're like, just give it to me, I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to give you that CMS form. It's really simple. Make it your own. I personally like to have 2. I've been doing this now. We've had these forms for years. If you do it above and beyond the requirement and then they change it, no big deal. Yep, I would probably put the expiration date on there, Mindy. Good suggestion. I know there were some others, so let me see. How do I send the documents via electronic? So there are a million places out there you can do it. You can use DocuSign, you can use, there's form quoted, there's Qt. I mean, if you want to go into any of the Facebook groups and say, hey, everybody, who's your favorite, documentation or electronic signature website? You will probably get 30. That part's probably the easiest. If you have agency block, I was told of something that's coming out. Now, granted, it's not coming out until January for everybody, but they're going to have one that's connected. It's an agency block, by the way. It's a CRM for those who don't know. Keeps all my customers' information safe and secure. They are going to have a form that's actually on their site. So when the person's name comes up, you can just click the button. It will send them the form. They link it. They sign it. It comes back. So there are lots of options for that. If you have them come in person, make a copy for you, make a copy for them. So sending the forms is probably one of the easier things. If you have, because this is now the rule, it's just that we had 3 days, right, before it's going to go effect. You're going to start seeing companies providing you ways to do this electronically, just like the Medicare scope of appointments. They're all trying to find ways. But in the meantime, you can do this on your own. There's so many easy, quick ones. I think I just saw one that said Form Doctor. There's lots of different ones. So as far as the state exchanges, if it's not already in your state exchange, I would expect that something like this will come. So get used to doing it now. There's no reason not to do it now. I mean, all I did was go in and update the forms I've already been using. So if you already have something and then your state says, hey, you have to do this, and then it's easy enough to adjust it. So Rosalind, yeah, you wonder why there's the expiration date. I think it's so you can put the 10 years from. They sign it, you can put that 10 years. I don't have an expiration date on mine. I just have an updated date. I personally, I just keep things. I probably have things way beyond. And at the end of the year, we put them in a box and we say, this is, 2022, 2023. And then we'll go down there and just throw everything away after about 15 years. But we have as little paperwork as possible. It's in my CRM. I am not going to go through my CRM and try and find somebody from 10 years ago to delete the one document. It's just on there. That's why CRMs exist, to hold all of that information. Tim, will it allow the marks to talk to the marketplace? No, it's not going to allow you to talk to them. You will still have to call the marketplace. But if you are calling the marketplace, please don't. There is only one reason to ever call the marketplace. You have to fix something in the past. That is the only reason. If you are calling them for any other reason, please talk to your upline, talk to your FMO. If you don't have one, I can be that, Mike can be that. There's lots of, please don't call them. Those people honestly don't know anything more than you. They're just a customer service person on the phone reading a script on a screen. So please don't call the marketplace. You won't get consent, but you do sometimes have to call if you have to make an appeal, because that's something in the past. I don't know if it doesn't differentiate between whether it's new clients or renewing clients. So personally, I would do it for everybody. You're renewing clients in the fall, say, hey, you know what, we need this information. Ironically, we just sent out a bunch already for some people have been clients since 2014 and had not filled out this information. So we will be sending it out every year. I did actually see something on the more in-depth that does basically say you need to renew this every year. You need to review it. So just get in the habit of, when you're renewing people, if you are doing anything on their information, on the marketplace for them, that you have this document. And then if you're doing renews, just send it. Say, all right, it's renew season, please find this form, send it back. Otherwise, I can't really help, because this is the regulations of the government to protect you. They hear that and they're like, oh, my agent's looking out for me. And they're usually really happy to do it. Let's see. If your call is recorded, can you have them verbally attest? Yes, you can. It says, the regulation says, just do this. How you do it is fine. Whether it's written, whether it's verbal, as long as you get it. The whole point of this, Ron, yes, is to helpfully stop clients from being stolen, from them going to this person and this person. If they're in your pipeline and suddenly they disappear and they're like, I didn't do this. This is in theory supposed to stop that, because if your client, John, says, I never gave this consent, and that agent who enrolled them doesn't have this document, then CMS can go after them. The CRM I use is Agency Block. It's a lot. It's got a lot of stuff on it. There are lots of different CRMs. There's Smart Office. There is Redtail. If you're new at this and you want something inexpensive, Redtail is not bad. It's $100 for a month, and you can have like up to 100 users on it. I've heard, I don't know. There's so many CRMs. One was less annoying CRM. So regarding the contact person, what do you do if you put the person as the youngest, but the other person gives you information? The contact is whoever's there. It doesn't matter. That's the nice thing. This is not Medicare, where it has to be Bob is signing it, so his wife Sue cannot do it. It just says somebody in the household. So it doesn't really matter who's signing it, because they have said husband and wife can sign for each other. Where we're going to run into some things with this is, let's say it's, I don't know if you've had this, we have this a lot. I have a parent in my office who goes, what about my 19-year-old? I just need to get them signed up. And I go, okay, we can do it, but I need the 19-year-old to email me or text me that mom has permission to do this. So then mom is the authorized. So then you've got that text. So as far as the contact person, just have somebody sign it as mother and husband and wife, or a parent, get that permission from the kid. Anybody else? Any other questions? This has been great. This is little bit of a moving target, but it's pretty simple. I will send those out as soon as the recording of this gets downloaded on Zoom so that you can have the recording, these documents, get them worked out, look at them. If you really want to deep dive and make your own brand new, because that's what you like, go ahead. I'm going to show you the links to do that, where it's the details of what needs to be done. But it's not a lot. It's pretty simplistic. So don't panic, don't freak out. The hardest part will be getting clients to return stuff if you do this virtually. That's going to be, so if you've already got a virtual platform, find a way to stick that in there. So I hopefully we can get this resolved. And it does say, one of the things I read in the form that I'm going to send to people is it did say that there's some grace. If you show this contact, this email back and forth with somebody, then they are clearly giving you permission. So if you don't have this instant form right at the beginning, it's okay. They understand that you have been given permission. So don't panic. It said that very clearly, that obviously the intent was for that person to work with you. So one of the nice things about Agency Block, and I don't know about other CRMs, is I link every email. So I always emailed out everybody who got enrolled with me. I would say, all right, here you go. Here's your information. Here's the form. And that shows consent. So, while you kind of figure this out, it's okay. And you're welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. If there's anybody who wants information regarding the conference in July, I've talked about it on some of the platforms. It really is going to be very interesting. It's going to be round tables, very small, where people get to meet. I think we're going to have like 10 people at a table. So you're going to get to meet people and talk to some of the experts in the field. And then you're going to get to meet next to you. Hey, maybe you find somebody who's in a different state. Now you have a go-to person for referrals back and forth. So if anybody wants information on that, shoot me an email or message. Otherwise, thank you so much, everybody. It was wonderful seeing you all. I will send out the recording as soon as I can. Any last questions? Shoot them in the chat box. Otherwise, have a wonderful day. I'm going to stop recording. Thanks, Mandy.